My name is Archie Fagan. I'm a dumb Jewish kid from Philadelphia. 80 years ago, at 17, some of the 17 years old, I was sitting here 80 years ago in a different venue to fight two wars in the Pacific and in the ETO. 1927, I was born February 8th. This Thursday will be my 97th birthday. With a little bit of luck, God's grace, and my own tenacity to live, I came this far to this blessed occasion. I was number 6 child out of 8, and so my mother and father couldn't take care of me. I was number 6. She had already had 5 children, and so at that time it was customary to send your children you couldn't take care of to a relative who was better off financially. At the time I thought that was a horrible misfortune, but no, God meant it in a different way. He put me in the hands of an uncle that took charge of me, sent me to the best schools, took care of me, and for 10 years he sent me to Central High School in Philadelphia, which was the pride of the men's school in Philadelphia. It was during the Depression. Things were tough. People were lined up for food. You don't know how tough people had it, what the real Depression was. In fact, we never had toilet paper. They used the wrappings from the oranges and the apples. To this day, my rear end hasn't recovered yet. So when I graduated Central High in June of 1944, I got a letter from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. Report for induction, greetings. I was sent down to Camp Wheeler, Georgia for 16 weeks of basic training. It was not easy. The temperature was always in the 90s, but we managed. I was 17 and a half. We went overseas on the ship for about a week, I think, I'm not sure. But at that time, the Germans had the submarine scare. They had the submarine out there, and in the distance, I could see one of our ships blowing up. And when we got over to France, we landed in Le Havre in December of 1944. The Germans captured our men in the Ardennes forest at Bastogne and even the little town of Malmedy. They slaughtered them, machine gunned them. And so when I got to the front, I was lucky. When I got up to the front, the first name they called out was Alvin Fagan, because that's what the government knows me. Headquarters, 4th Armored Division, G2. And I spoke German because of Yiddish, a combination of German and Hebrew. And we called them the Gefangene, the Germans who were captured. And so I was interrogating in German, and we pushed them back. And when I got up to the front, they assigned me to the 66th Tank Battalion. I remember it was so cold up at the front, we slept under tanks. We slept under those tanks. They wanted to keep warm because the tanks were running all day. When the Germans encircled the American forces, the 101st Airborne, when we got there, these men were in terrible shape. They were suffering from trench foot. They were losing their feet. You have no idea what the American soldier is going through, so that we can sit here in peace and pray for peace and love that we're entitled to. When I left the Ardennes Forest to march to Munich, 10 miles out of a camp known as Dachau, was the Germans' first concentration camp in which they killed and killed and killed and killed with their gas chimneys. 10 miles out, we could smell death. Ladies and gentlemen, the smell of death will take me to my dying day when they put me in my casket. I'll never forget it. I'm so impregnated with that smell that I suffer with PTSD from that today. But when we got there, we saw the horrors of what the Germans did to humanity. I was in Munich, and the colonel came to me. He said, "Sergeant," I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "They're starting the Nuremberg trials in September of 1946. Would you like to go up there and report to me about, as a government observer, military?" I said, "Yes, sir, I would love to do that." So I went up to Nuremberg, September of 1946. And there for 2 days I sat in the gallery. I saw Göring, Hess. I saw them all. Donuts. Yes, I saw them all. And I said to myself, I don't, only God could care for these men, could get the forgiveness. And I gave the news to the colonel, and he says, "Sergeant, thank you." I told him that the Germans had surrendered and that they were training me for the Japanese invasion. But he says, "We could send you back and to the States for either discharge or re-enlistment." And I said, "No, I would rather go to college." I am not a killer, ladies and gentlemen. When I see the death of a deer on the road, I cry. I'm a softie, yes, I'm a softie. When I got home, the family was so happy to see me. My brother was still alive. I applied to the University of Pennsylvania under the GI Bill, and I'm a graduate of the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. I always leave with 4 virtues that you have to cultivate in order to be a decent human being before God and man. Gratitude. Be grateful for the life that God has given you. To live in the greatest country in the world, love your country. It is the greatest, it is worth saving and loving. Number 2 is forgiveness. Look, we don't live in a perfect world. People screw up, yes, and you have to learn to say, forgive them. Number 3 is generosity. Help a fallen brother. Help a student who is slow in arithmetic or in history. And number 4, the greatest virtue of all is love. Love, listen, God did not bring you into this world to hate or to destroy. He brought you into this world to praise, to labor, and to love. Be a giver. Help a fellow man. God brought you here to serve, not to serve yourself, but to serve His creation. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having me, for bringing me back, and for prolonging my life for another day. Thank you very much.